Tying up another Carrie Stevens streamer here today. This is called the Gee Whiz. Don't know much about the history on this. There apparently is a number of different variations of this. And in the Hilliard book, this is the one that they found most common, so that's the one that they kind of stuck with. The only thing I can think of in terms of its name is that it's the color scheme on this. It's Gee Whiz, that's a pretty fly. The yellow and the blue are contrasting colors on the opposite end of the spectrum, so they show up very well. I imagine this could be a nice little perch pattern or something like that, but it's just a fun fly to tie. Not much to it. That's the Gee Whiz. I'll get started tying. I'm going to start the Gee Whiz with my hook in the vise. This is a Patridge hook. It's a CS5 9X long hook. It is a lighter wire hook and shorter than a CS15. I've got a CS15 here. I'll show you. This is the CS15, which is a little bit heavier wire, definitely longer. So, and this is also considered a 9X long streamer hook. So anyway, the part of the reason that I am using that is that the hackles, my yellow hackles on the neck that I have, the much fuller and longer feathers have already been used. So I have to go down to a little bit smaller feathers. So to get the right proportions on this, I just go down to a little bit smaller hook. That's all. If you have feathers that are long enough and wide enough and you want to use a much longer hook, by all means go right ahead. So after I debarb that hook, I'm going to attach my thread. I'm starting out with a white. It's a Danville 210 denier in white. You don't have to use white because it is a tinsel body on this. So if you wanted to do a double layer of tinsel along the body here, you could use a black thread or any other color thread that you want. I'm using white for two reasons. One, it's a nice big thick thread, so I'll go up and down the shank a little bit quicker. And two, I'm only going to do a single layer of tinsel here. So if there are any little gaps between that, then it won't show up as much as, say, a darker thread or just the hook. I'm going to attach my thread about an eye length behind the eye of the hook. I'm going to bring this down to the end of the shank. If I were tying these, I suppose, to be framed or for something special, I probably would be doing a double layer of tinsel, just because they tend to look a little bit nicer, the finished product. There's no tail or tag on the Gee Whiz. It is just the silver tinsel body. So I'm going to stop just in front of the point of the hook. For tinsel, I'm using a Danville number 10 silver and gold Mylar tinsel. I'm going to go ahead and attach my tinsel here. I want to attach this with the gold side up. That way it will flip over to the silver side. I'm going to bring this down almost to the very end of that tinsel. I'm going to keep winding down to the end of the shank here and then start winding back forward. The one nice thing is I have it just won't stay out of the way. I have what you can do with that when that happens is take the edge of your scissors, the smooth edge, just run it along the back like this a little bit. And what that will do is it'll get that curve out a little bit and help to keep that tinsel from curling up into where we're tying. Now, one thing I am going to do to help to reinforce this, because this is going to be a fishing fly, I'm going to put some Flexament all along the thread wraps here. It's part of the reason for a nice double layer of thread. The Mylar tinsel is wonderful stuff, but it has a lot of memory in it. And if you've ever been tying in a body like this and you lose control of it in your fingers, you'll know what I mean, because it just unwinds all the way back and you have to start over again. Metal tinsel doesn't have that issue, but the Mylar also, if you just wrap that on there, you run the risk of a fish breaking that Mylar and in the course of catching fish, and then all that Mylar starts to come unraveled and your fly is no good anymore. Which no flies are 100% indestructible and last forever, but sometimes little steps like this will just help to make the fly a little bit more durable. So now I'll go ahead and wrap that tinsel on. See, it flips over to the silver side. And I'm just going to wrap this in nice touching turns, or at least edge to edge. Well, I should say touching turns is edge to edge. What I meant to say is at least overlapping just a little bit. And that's just going to cover up any of the thread and any gaps. Take a look at your progress every now and again. Make certain that we're getting that in nice and smooth. Don't have any gaps in there. You can see that Flexament getting kind of pushed around, as well as squeezing out a little bit. That's fine. Up to the head space, and we'll secure that tinsel in 2 or 3 wraps and trim away the excess. Now you can leave some of that Flexament that's kind of oozed out a little bit and just let it dry. It'll be clear. Or if you want, you can go ahead and brush that off just a little bit. I'm going to advance my thread forward up to behind the eye. Now I'm going to change over to my orange thread. The head on the Gee Whiz is a black head with an orange band. But as I've mentioned in other videos, I like to use the lighter color on the bottom, the orange in this case, so that I can just put the black bands in. Otherwise, if I make it all black and then put the orange in, the orange ends up being darker than I care for. That same goes for if it's red, or on some of our other flies that have different colored bands in them. Always have the lighter color on the bottom, the darker one on top. Oh, for thread, the orange thread, I'm using this is a Uni-Thread 8.0 in a pumpkin color. There is a belly to the Gee Whiz, and it's just some white bucktail. I already have a clump that I have cut out, maybe I'd say half a pencil in diameter, and then when you hold the tips here and clean it out and get the shorter ones out, it will reduce down to about the right size. If you have any hairs that are kind of wild, go ahead and take them out, or short. You can take some of these and massage them a little bit to get them the right length. I want to tie this in so it's about 1/4 of a shank past the bend of the hook. Trim away the excess there. And then I'll tie in the throat. The throat is just yellow hackle, and I'm using some yellow Schlappen for this. Got 3 clumps here. I'm going to tie these in. You want the fibers to extend about halfway down the body. Clean all that up and make this a nice smooth area for tying in the wing. The wing is made of 4 to 6 strands of some peacock herl. I'm using a strung peacock herl here. Take those out, and I need about that many. I want to keep the tips fairly even. They don't have to be perfect. Matter of fact, I like them to be off a little bit so that it doesn't have kind of an abrupt stop. It's more of a taper to it. I just think it having a little bit of taper and or some uneven bits and pieces, I think makes the fly look a little more natural. Trim away the excess. Now I can tie in the wing. Now I'm ready to tie in the wing on the Gee Whiz. The wing is fairly, the part of the wing is the actual peacock herl, but the hackles here are very simple. It's 2 Grizzly Hackles dyed yellow, and that's the wing portion. This blue one right here is considered a shoulder, and that is just some hen breast feathers that are dyed a blue, something like this. And then there is the cheek of jungle cock in that. So I'll match these up. Like this. Trim away the extra rachis on that. And then I'll tie each of these in. When you tie these in, you want to make certain that the tips are even on the end. If need be, I would have even what I would call the shoulder portion right up here. I would have that even a little bit further back from one side to the other, just to make certain that the tips are evened up. I'll place that up there on the far side, tie it in, make certain that it's in nice and even, not twisted. Then I'll tie the one in on my side. That one kind of got pulled over to the side a little bit towards the other side. So I'm going to bring it a little more on top and wrap that down. See how that does. That's a little bit better. keeps it more vertical. As you can see, it's not, this kind of got twisted over to that side. Interesting thing about this wing as I put this together, I hadn't really noticed in the beginning that these hackles have a natural curve to them. And a lot of times on your necks they will. They'll have a kind of a curve out. So this one here is curving up a little bit, and this one here is curving down. It's not really that big of a deal. I mean, again, if this were a presentation fly, I would probably have to redo that. But in terms of fishing it, it's not going to affect the fishing of this. So I wouldn't concern myself with it. Just pointing that out. Sometimes when you are getting the hackles off of the neck, you have to be observant of that curve in them so that you can use that to your advantage from the standpoint of selecting hackles from both sides that will have a natural curve downward. So I'm just cleaning up the headspace here, making certain everything is covered. I don't have any material poking through. I want to get a nice base of orange on it as well. I'll put in my whip finish. And this is just to secure the orange thread. Now for black, I'm using a Danville 70 denier 6/0 in black. I'm going to attach that in the rear portion. Bring that tag end around, wrap it down and secure it. We can trim away the excess. And then just finish making that rear band. Be careful you don't go too far forward. You want it to have more or less even segments of black, orange, and then black. Put in my whip finish on that black band. Trim away my thread. Now I'll reattach for the front band. Same thing here. Just make that black band up here, keeping the orange and black in the back about all the same. And my whip finish, trim away my thread. That has been happening lately where the whip finish, it comes out from underneath itself. So I will Put some head cement on this. Then I will come back with a couple coats of lacquer on that. Clear lacquer. Not to necessarily give it a gloss, but to just give it a little bit more protection. So there is the Gee Whiz. Nice little fly, bright, nice colors. I think this would be a really nice attractor pattern. Something fun to throw around. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. But what's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.